Good evening, everyone. This is the Wolfeboro Planning Board meeting for Tuesday, March 17th, 2026. My name is Doug Breskin. I'm the chair of the Planning Board. To my left, we have Vaughn Dugan, Roger Murray. To my right, Steve Webster, Kathy Barnard, Nancy Wiley. Paul O'Brien is our Select Board representative, and Julie Jacobs. We need an alternate for this evening, I believe. 1, 2, 3. So, Julie, can you step in as alternate?
Yes, I can.
Very good, thank you. First item on the agenda, as a result of our townwide election last week, is the nomination and election of chair and vice chair for the coming year. I'd like to nominate Steve Webster for chair and Roger Murray for vice chair.
Can you split those, please, so we have 2 votes?
Sure. I'll nominate Steve Webster for chair.
I can second that.
And I'll nominate Roger Murray for vice chair.
I second that. She wanted to vote separately.
Yeah, well, we can vote them separately, sure.
Okay.
So would anybody like to discuss the nomination of Steve Webster for chair? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very good. And for vice chair, for Roger Murray, any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No? All right. Congratulations, gentlemen. Would you like to take over? You can handle it. All right.
One more time.
Sure, that's fine. The next item on the agenda is general public comment. Does anybody from the public like to make a comment at this time? If so, please come to the mic. Very good. Then we go on to approval of meeting minutes from February 17th. Does anybody has any amendments or corrections to the minutes?
I do. Down on page 1, line 30. Mr. Chase's name is Leary, L-E-A-R-Y. L-E-A-R-Y. And it's in several places.
Any others?
Yes, on page 2, line 88, it should be council, C-O-U-N-S-E-L.
I'm sorry, what line was that, Roger?
88.
That would be page 3.
Oh, yeah. Under other business, second line.
Yeah. Any other changes? All right, I'd like to make a motion to approve the draft minutes as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Very good. Steve is abstaining as he was not present. Next item on the agenda is a public hearing. First one is Pierce Camp Birchmont, Inc., 693 Governor Wentworth Highway, tax map lot 182-10, case 2026 SPR-001, site plan approval to add a new gym and pavilion to Camp Birchmont. Public hearing and decision.
And for the applicants, we have a clipboard on the podium. If you could write your name in so we can get the spelling correct in the minutes, that would be very helpful. And there should be a pen. There was a pen there too. It's a blue pen.
Julie took it.
Awesome, thank you.
Julie Stills.
You can put it on the chair. Yeah, perfect.
Okay, thank you for having me. I'm here to apologize that I don't have quite everything that you asked for due to the fact that I have not been able to get into the zoning board on 2 tries. When you asked me to go to the zoning board, I had everything in. The zoning board failed to get my notices out in time. I was told that I was canceled 5 hours before I was due to arrive. And then I was told that we would be on the next one, which was, I thought it was yesterday, and we weren't on that one, so now we've been put back on to the 6th. So, but in the meantime, I did bring you the things that you asked for, and I would like to be able to come to the board and hand you these things if I could.
Sure.
This is a map.
You gotta wait till you're with the microphone.
Okay. I don't know if I have enough of that. I didn't realize there was this many people.
Did we get that the last time?
Well, this is the one part of trying to get you.
Do you have enough? I have. Everybody go?
That is a map of the camp. I just want you to know, to see that everything that we're asking for, we already have.
Make sure that microphone's working.
Hello?
Oh, there we go. You got to be real close to it.
Everything that I'm asking for that we already have. The basketball court is there. I just don't have a roof on it. The pavilion, the picnic area is there. We have a tent. I want to put a roof onto a pavilion so that they can have the picnic area. So I just wanted you to see that because we're not asking for anything that's not there already. You asked me to get you a map of parking. I'll show that.
Thank you.
As you can tell, I'll wait till I get back here, I guess. As you can see at the map that you asked me that we have adequate parking, I have hundreds of places to park. But we won't need any parking because we don't entertain other than a school bus that comes from another camp. So it's not a public place to play basketball that we're asking for this building or a public place to have a picnic with this. But I did have the drawing drawn that shows that we have hundreds of places to park.
Are you adding any parking?
We're not adding any parking. We have, like I said, we have hundreds of places to park. But this basketball court, if we have any visitors, it will be a school bus that comes from another camp. It won't be the public. But these parking spots are always there because we have camp Parents' Day and things like that do come and have that. But as you can see on that parking map, I do have the basketball court that shows there, which is existing. All I'm doing is building a building over the court that's already existing. And the pavilion is up by the dining hall, which is already there. We have a tent. And I just want to build something so that we can not put the tent up every year. We can have a permanent structure.
Is anything being done to the surface of the basketball?
No, it's a tarred basketball court. I'm not going to change it to wood or anything. It'll stay tarred because we'll be using it after 7 weeks of use. We'll be using it to store all the boats and the golf carts and whatever else that we have no place to put. Yeah.
I've got one question on the pavilion. On the parking and on one of the other plans, the long side of the pavilion is shown as being parallel to the dining hall, and on this plan it's shown as being perpendicular to the dining hall.
I'm not sure if I understand what you just said.
Okay, on one plan the dining hall is here and the long side is shown going this way. On the other plan, the dining room hall is here, and the long side is showing going this way.
What you see in this particular one is what's there.
Okay, the plan that was superimposed on Mike McLean's survey. Oh, here it is. There.
Oh, yes, that's why I drew this one because we hit water lines, and we changed it to a different direction.
Okay,
Could you say that into the mic?
Yeah.
That should be shown on the plan so we know.
That's why I brought you this one. Yes, we just changed the direction of the building because we had sprinkler lines on the opposite side, and I didn't want to get involved in changing the sprinklers.
Okay, so we'll fix that before the final.
Yep, I should. So, again, we're not asking for anything we don't have. All we're asking for is, as Shana has made it clear to me, that I am on the agenda to get my acceptance for the zoning board on the 6th. Everybody's told me I should still come tonight, so I'm here. And I guess what I would ask, if it was possible, I'm running out of time. I got these kids coming in 1 month, and I'm never going to be able to build these buildings in a month. So we're probably going to postpone the basketball court until August, but the pavilion, I have time enough to build that. So what I'm asking from you is if I could go on a contingency that the zoning board gives me the acceptance, which I don't see any issues. I meet all their criteria. It's just getting into the meeting. If you could give me a contingency of your blessing to move forward on the account that we get the acceptance from ZBA.
Well, you're going to see this ZB on what, the 6th of
We're
April?
going to see them on the 6th of April. Yep.
So you could come back in and see us on the 7th?
That's what I'm hoping, because she just made it clear. I just was hoping we didn't have to wait another month, because if I waited another month, the kids come in June. I'd never make it, so that would put us out another year. So, and that's why I wanted to make it quite clear that we're not asking for anything that we don't already have. It's just it rains, and the kids have nothing to do, and I want to be able to have them have a place to play inside.
How are you proposing to address the water coming off the roof of the gymnasium?
The water coming off the gymnasium
Roof.
We'll have water. I guess you'd call it prevention, where I'll have crushed stone all the way around this building. But we have no inclines, no nothing. This is completely flat, so we won't have any water issues, so say, as any of these buildings in this park. But I will address them because I will have drainage around them.
And can you show that to us when you come back in April?
Yes, I can.
And are there any lights on the outside of the building?
There's lights there now, and yes, there will be lights above each door. I did do another drawing because we were talking about exits. I did do another drawing that showed on the basketball court. I put an extra couple of doors in, not that we needed them, so say, but it was something that you asked for, and I did put them. When your department comes out and will inspect, we will meet all commercial exit signs, so say. But lighting, I have pole lights that are already, everything is already there. I don't have to do anything.
Are you going to put any on the building?
There'll be lights all around this building.
But will they be mounted to the building?
Yes, I will have an outside light mounted to the building, absolutely. But
can you just
inside, these are already there. I have spotlights because it's a basketball court now.
Can you add the lights on the building to the plan?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
And could you also add that they are downward facing lights?
Dark sky compliant.
Dark sky compliant. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do any of that. Like I said, this is in the middle of the park. It's not going to be seen by anybody.
Well, the dark sky is about light going up into the sky.
Yeah, no, I won't. That wouldn't make much sense. No, I wouldn't do that. But just so you know, inside this, I mean, we have huge lighting that already lights this park up because it's there, it's existing, it's wrapped to the fence. All I'm doing is taking down the fence, building 4 walls, and putting a roof over.
No, I think our point, though, is that the lights that you have currently will be contained within the building once the building is up. Is that right? So our concern is to make sure that there's adequate lighting above the doors, so if somebody's exiting at night, they don't trip and fall.
No, we will make sure that happens.
Yeah.
We have to meet the New Hampshire commercial electrical code as it is, and we will follow that.
Yeah, we just want to make sure it's documented, that's all.
You got it.
Any other questions from the board?
What are we going to do about CBA? Can we have a meeting after?
So Kathy's asking what we're going to do about ZBA. So they're currently scheduled to go before the ZBA on the 6th, and I would propose that we continue this hearing to the 7th. So if nobody has any further comment, I'll make a motion that we continue. Yes, you're right, Roger, thank you. So let's open the public hearing. Would anybody from the public like to speak on this application? No? All right, well, let's leave the public hearing open and we'll continue this hearing. I would make a motion to continue this hearing to April 7th here in Town Hall at 7 p.m.
Second.
Paul seconds. All in favor? Aye. Very good.
Thank you very much.
We'll see you on the 7th. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the next item on the agenda is Kenneth C. Woodhouse, tax map 115-008, 68 North Line Road, case 2026, SIJB 001, 2-lot subdivision plan review, public hearing and decision.
How you doing? Good evening. My name's James Smith. I'm the surveyor of record on this plan. I'm from Allen and Major. Mr. Woodhouse is desirous to create 2 frontage lots. His existing lot is 111 acres. And the proposed 2 lots are, one is 6.26 acres, and the other one is 504 acres. We had a wetland scientist, Mr. Luke Hurley, out there. He did the soils as well. We exceed the soils for both lots. The lot is map 115, lot 8, and 68 North Line Road. Test pits all worked out very well. No problem with the septic system. We show on page 2 the 4K areas and the proposed wells. We have set lot corners out there already. I'm pretty sure that I had submitted a certification to that effect. And that's about it.
I did not find an agent authorization in what I received, so can we get one of those?
Sure can.
I've seen them before. I think I can make it first.
I presume we need an agent authorization before we can approve this. Is that right?
Well, we could make it a condition, I would think,
Okay.
if the board agreed.
Does yours even look like mine?
Any questions from the board? Other than Rogers?
And what kind of road is North Line Road? What numbers does it have after it?
Class 5.
Class 5.
Yes.
I have a question which I'm almost embarrassed to ask, but on sheet 3,
Okay.
because you know those little plant-like things that we sometimes see on the maps, which side of the dotted line is the wetlands and which is the buildable?
I see what you're saying. The buildable is within the envelope. On the other one it's on the right side, looking at it, and the buildable is within the 30-foot poorly drained soil line going out to where there's a driveway there, edge of gravel drive.
And it would be the left-hand side of the other lot?
Correct, correct.
Probably more notation would be helpful. Just a thought, you may want to just notate that.
Sure.
Because you have a smart person right there who had a question. If he's got one, somebody else might have one.
Sure.
Okay.
I'm sorry, can I just clarify, because on both lots, it's the upper right corner is the buildable area,
Correct.
which I'm not sure was what was said.
No, I think it's the upper right on
This
the
one.
left-hand lot and the upper left on the other lot.
No, it's the upper right on the lot.
On both,
On both, yeah.
on both lots.
No sense.
No,
Correct,
it's up in the corner. Yep.
correct.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a bad idea to mark it up.
Yeah, on the left-hand lot, it's clear, because on sheet 2, it clearly denotes where the wetland's
Sure,
located.
yep.
Any other questions from the board?
And we don't have any DES approval.
Not yet.
All right, I'll open the public hearing on this. Would anybody from the public like to speak?
We do accept the application.
Thank you, Kathy. Yes, we'll accept I'd like to make a motion to accept the application as complete.
Second.
Roger seconds. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye. Very good. Now we'll open the public hearing. Anybody would like to speak? No? Okay, we'll close. I'm sorry. Yes, we'll close the public hearing.
Before you close the public hearing,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I do have two pieces of input, if I
Yes.
can call it. One is the technical review comments from the Conservation Commission, Ms. Lenore Clark. She says, "I'm not sure that this made it into the packet, so I just wanted to read it. The lot contains both poorly drained and very poorly drained wetlands, which need to be fully delineated prior to designing any structures. The builders need to be made aware of Wolfeboro's 25-foot no-touch wetland buffer, which cannot be disturbed, even temporarily, without a special use permit. Should such be communicated early when the applicant files for a building permit to avoid accidental impacts." And then the second piece is an email that we received on March 2nd. "We were all impressed with the Ken Woodhouse documents. Excellent job. Because of health reasons, we will be unable to attend this meeting. Jerry and I support this project. Please tell Ken well done. Gerald and Judith Hess of 84 North Line Road in Wolfeboro."
Thank you. All right, we'll close the public hearing. Any further discussion from the board? All right, would somebody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve the application with all those nice conditions you like to read so much.
So the conditions that have been recommended include that the plans be incorporated into the approval, that the wetlands and their associated buffers and setbacks exist on site. An applicant needs to show a minimum of 20,000 square feet, which is sufficient in size and configuration to adequately accommodate all housing and required utilities such as sewage disposal and water supply. To include setbacks as provided, please add to plan. Please show proposed driveways on the plan, and if driveway culverts will be needed. Once amendments to the plan set are made, please submit one draft copy of plans prior to final drawings being submitted. The final drawings should include 2 sets of 24 by 36-inch black line final approved plans, 1 set of 11 by 17 final approved plans, and 1 electronic version in PDF format. All the documentation submitted in the application package by the applicant and any requirements imposed by other agencies are part of its approval unless otherwise updated, revised, clarified in some manner, or superseded in full or in part. In the case of conflicting information between documents, the most recent documentation in this notice herein shall generally be determining. And then conditions to be met after approval is that E911 will require structure.
Before you get to after, do you want to include what Shanna read as a condition prior?
The Concom piece,
Yeah.
do you want me to read it?
Please. And while she's digging that up, Mr. Chairman, you did mention we need DES for septic.
And then, yes, DES approval should be needed as a condition of approval.
Yep, thank you.
So I'm also unclear on where the driveway or driveways are. I see one edge of gravel, which doesn't get through the wetland, and no driveway on the upper lot.
Which is why one of the conditions was to show the proposed driveways on the plan, yeah. And have the driveway locations been identified?
No, we have not.
They have not.
And so from the Conservation Commission, the builder needs to be made aware of Wolfeboro's 25-foot no-touch wetlands buffer, which cannot be disturbed even temporarily without a special use permit. If the applicant does disturb it, he needs to come back before the board.
All right, any other conditions anybody wants to suggest?
Mr. Chairman, if I may
Yes.
ask for clarification, the building inspector did mention that there appears to be an impact fee ordinance and wasn't quite sure. It is, an impact fee has to be imposed at the planning board level, and wasn't quite sure if this lot qualified for impact fee.
And I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
Isn't an impact fee later? This is strictly putting lines on paper?
My understanding was the impact fee would be imposed at the time of the building permit.
Building permit, right. But the fee itself is set at the planning board level, so
So it's
have to
not,
be a
this is
condition of
not,
approval.
what you're suggesting is this is not the time to impose the fee, but to set the fee.
yeah, just to say that, yes, this lot is subject to the impact fee ordinance and
Yes.
should be paying it at the time of the building permit.
Yes, and I think that is correct.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so that was a long way to go to have Roger make a motion and put all its conditions in. Roger, I will second that as amended. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very good. Any opposed? No? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, there you go. All right, the next item on the agenda is Lot 14, Winnipesaukee Drive, Tax Map 273-026, Case 2026, SUB 001, Special Use Permit for Wetlands Buffer Setback Impacts. Public hearing and decision.
Simply driveway crossing.
Mr. Coons.
Good evening, y'all. My name's Dan Coons. with Ilex Wetlands Consultants and representing Jason and Elizabeth Smith concerning a building lot on Winnipesaukee Drive.
Can you get a little closer to the microphone or a little louder?
I can get much closer if you'd like. So anyway, this is one of those things that we've been dealing with in town for the past 18 years since Wolfeboro set their buffer setbacks in place in 2008. This lot pre-existed those regulations, so therefore, with your blessing, should theoretically be approved as a grandfathered lot. We analyzed several locations along the frontage as the least impacting. The state would have preferred that the driveway be moved slightly for less wetland impacts, but in analyzing wetland plus buffer impacts, this was determined to be the least impacting place on a square footage basis. There's not a huge amount of difference between wetlands and buffer. This location is 802 square feet of impact. Slightly to the east of that would be 884, and using an existing woods road that dated back to logging of the site probably 30 years ago, we would be up at almost 1,000 at 991 square feet. The wetlands on the site kind of border the road, so and they do border the entire frontage of the property, so there's no way to avoid entirely. So in absence of avoidance, we went with minimization, which is the next least impacting way to achieve being able to build a house in an upland area on the lot.
Very good.
All right. And Roger, I did take into note your comments at the post office last week or the week before and confirm that, yes, indeed, when the planner was drawing up this, he didn't conclude that wetland along the east side of the property. So I did make alterations to the plan I have here. I'd be happy to give you another copy of
Yes, please.
this one. But we have about a 10-foot wide.
In front of me.
Okay. We have about a 10-foot wide drainage that comes in off of Winnipesaukee Drive and drains down the hill behind it. That is this location. It comes off the lot, drains down, and goes back onto the abutting lot. You're Mr. Silva. Yep. So, comes in under the road there, and this wetland drains into that also. So, sure. Correct. Yep. Well, the woods road is there, so we're moving it over to that.
We'll have an opportunity for you to ask questions during public comment. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
just want to clarify. Hi, Dan, how are you?
Doing great.
I see that Lenore looked at your application with DES. You have filed it, though, right?
Yes,
Okay.
it has been filed.
Just want to make sure I understand. Okay, thank you.
All right. Any questions from the board? All right. I'll make a motion to accept this application as complete. Second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. We'll open the public comment. We did receive some comment via email from Russell and Suzanne Buck, who are abutters. They write, "Dear Planning Committee, Our comment questions about these wetlands application on Winnipesaukee Drive. Number one, how will these alterations affect any water that may run through our property? Two, what about the unmarked wetland that is on the old timber road? Three, how far back is the house, as we would not want their septic system too close to our well, which is already installed? Any further public comment? If you would come up to the microphone, please.
No,
If you could introduce yeah, you can take the microphone with you if you like. First, introduce yourself. Thank you.
I'm Sean Silva. I'm the owner of the property this way on that screen.
East of the subject property.
Right. And I've lived there for 10 years before they rehabilitated the whole neighborhood and decided to bring it back to life. Glad that they did it. It's a great road. We're hoping the town someday takes it over because we pay all these taxes. It's another discussion. But the thing I was most concerned with was the impact of what that other neighbor had said about where the water's going and what's going on. It's extremely wet behind us. There's a gigantic pond that abuts your property, or the person's property, and my property. I don't know if that pond is visible on this map. It is a gigantic pond that exists somewhere in this vicinity, and the water comes across the road from all these lots. That's where that big camp is up here, that Camp Kiwanka, whatever that was. And so all the water tends to come underneath. When they did the road, they installed the drainage under the road there.
Culverts.
Culverts, yep. And it comes across right about, he said, let's see, my line's here. It comes across onto my property, comes over onto this area, drains back and cuts back, and then this dumps in to a fairly sized, good sized pond back here. And that drains back to the brook down towards Sleepy Hollow. Supposedly, I've been told by some other neighbors, this is a project that can be correlated slightly to this. Up on the top of the mountain, they'll be talking about a subdivision that they've been trying to put at Alpine Meadows, I guess. And we're talking about taking all that water and shoving it down the hill to that brook. So I don't know, because I'm a dentist, I'm not a surveyor. But at the same time, I'm just concerned with the amount of water. I mean, personally for me, I'm glad that the driveway's in the middle because it's further from my lot, just my own personal thing. But as far as water goes, I don't really know much about this. I do know this is fairly wet over here, so I'm not against him doing this per se. Looking at this, I'm just concerned where this water's going to go. I don't have any opposition to doing this plan on the surface, but I guess I'm concerned with the water flow is what I'm just concerned about. And if there's some way to kind of work that out somehow. I've done what I can on my property to maintain it the way it was since I bought it, and it seems to be fine. But the water does pick up quite a bit through here in the springtime and collect in that pond. So I guess just to take into consideration what's going on there. I don't know past that. I guess that's all I wanted, because I wanted to see this. Can I take a picture of this too, if you mind? Yeah. I don't really have any other comments about it. I was hoping they weren't going to come closer to me, because that would have pushed more water at me. Looks like they're moving away from me. But I know right over here, the person put a gigantic, they just knocked a bunch of trees and they're building a house over here. Is that the one that they're referencing? The one next to them? No? Oh, okay. Yeah. I know there's a big lot right here that they just built. But on the surface, I guess I'm fine. I just wanted to see the picture.
It shows on the plan here that Buck is immediately to the west.
Yeah. So that's all I have to say. Thanks for letting me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is there anybody else from the public that would like to speak? All right, we will close the public hearing. Is there any further discussion amongst the board? I guess, Mr. Coons, would you like to address the concerns of the abutters with regard to the drainage?
Certainly. The design as such does have a culvert underneath the driveway so that it will channel that flow from the west into this stream that is between this property and the Silva property to the east. Square footage for this house was kept fairly minimal in order to reduce any impervious inputs. The house and septic system entirely meet the septic setbacks. The setbacks and buffers are only impacted by the driveway here. This was designed so that the house and the septic are entirely outside of the town's buffers.
All right, and to address the email comments, the question one was, will the alterations affect any water that may run through the property to the east?
It shouldn't.
You don't expect it to. And how far back from, let's see, they don't want the septic system too close to their well, and I expect that if you have proper state approval for the septic, that it honors the setbacks.
In fact, the septic system is in front of the house, between the house and the road. So it's keeping it as far away from the neighbors as possible. On
Yeah,
both sides.
it's fairly centered on the property.
Yeah.
Are they going to be able to drill a well without going through wetland?
Yes. Yeah, there's plenty of room behind. The pond is hundreds of feet. I didn't measure exact distance, but must be at least 500 feet behind where the house location is.
So the question about the unmarked wetland, you've amended that plan to include that?
Correct.
That was the
Yeah.
first question?
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Any further questions from the board? All right, I'll make a motion to approve this application with conditions, with the final drawings as recommended by the planner, proper erosion control to be installed prior to any construction and maintained throughout construction, with breaks or breaches to be repaired within 48 hours of a storm event. The wetland buffer area shall not be impacted by construction activities other than those permitted under the conditional use permit and DES wetlands permit. Wetlands buffer shall be marked with orange snow fence prior to any on-site activity and will be maintained throughout construction. E911 will require the structure on the lot to have proper E911 numbering, and this must be approved prior to the building permit submittal for the project. The applicant shall be responsible for the payment of recording of the notice of decision at the Carroll County Registry of Deeds and appeals process pursuant to RSA 677:15. An aggrieved party may appeal this decision to the Carroll County Superior Court within 30 days of the date of the board voted to approve or disapprove the application, or to the ZBA pursuant to RSA 676:5 Roman numeral 3 within 30 days of the board making its decision. Would anybody like to recommend any other conditions?
Is it clear that it's contingent upon getting the DES permit?
It is not, but I'm happy to add that to the conditions.
Let's do that.
I'd like to add something to the effect that the builder be handed this document and make sure he knows the limits, because we've had other situations where the driveway does not end up where it's supposed to.
I'm not sure how to enforce that from a planning board perspective. Certainly we can make that recommendation. I don't know that it can be a condition of approval.
Make the recommendation
Yeah.
to maybe the building department.
We can require that this approved planning board plan be submitted with the building permit.
There you go.
Very good. Thank you, Shanna.
Thank you.
There you
So
go.
we'll recommend that this plan be included with the building permit.
Can I just add too, it was news to me that the driveway was going to require a culvert. That wasn't shown on the plan submitted, and so when this went to TRC, DPW didn't pick up on that. So I'd like to recommend a condition that the DPW take a look at that culvert install and make sure it's appropriately sized and such, especially if this road is moving toward public acceptance someday, potentially.
Private road.
The culvert, though, is under Winnipesaukee Drive, is that right? As opposed to the driveway?
It sounded as if this driveway was going to require a culvert as well.
Culvert, yes, it does.
But the culvert's only under the driveway, correct? Not in the road? That's the question.
There is an existing culvert under the road. This plan includes a culvert under the driveway.
So if that culvert under the driveway is missized, water will pool on one side or the other, and then it could damage the road. That was my only thought.
All right, so I think that's a good suggestion. Thank you. That as a condition of approval to include that Wolfeboro DPW review the culvert size and make sure that it is adequate for carrying the expected amount of water that would travel through it.
Sounds good.
That protects the neighbor.
Makes sense.
Would anybody like to second that?
Second.
Paul seconds. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very good. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
The next item on the agenda is Taylor Community, lots 62 through 65, Bay Street, tax map 203, case 2026, SP001, lot merger and site plan review for 8 waterfront cottages.
You've been missing meetings, which is done. I handed mine back to Doug because that's going directly to the selectmen. It's not a planning board thing. We should not have received it.
Damn.
And then they clue you in, it says 4 bedrooms. The floor plan says 5.
Well, they said they no longer, they wouldn't do any more than 10 people, so.
All right, good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the team. My name is Kirk Beswick. I'm the Vice President of Planning and Strategic Initiatives, which is a long title. But I've got a couple.
If you could bring that mic up a little bit.
Yeah, you need to be close to it to be heard.
Thank you.
All right, here we go.
That's better.
Everyone's having microphone issues. You got my name is Kirk Beswick, with Taylor. I've got a couple of folks I'd like to introduce. To my right directly, I have Sarah Wardy. She is our civil engineer with Du Bois and King. And I also have Seth McClellan, who's the Vice President of Property Management for Taylor. We're here to make a presentation about 8 cottages we'd like to build on Bay Street. I think the proposal is pretty straightforward. We spent a lot of time since we purchased this property in June of 22, at which time we did a due diligence on this to find out what the zoning ordinance allowed us to do in the Bay Street Limited Commercial District on Bay Street. At the time, we found we could do 10 cottages. When we started this project recently, we revised it to meet the local new ordinance, which is 8. We also revised it once we went to technical review, and all the comments that we got at that time are reflected in the plan that you see in front of you and the ones you have in your packet. Straightforward, Bay Street Limited Commercial District allows for duplexes, so we're proposing 4 duplexes, all with an orientation looking at the water, with a short driveway connecting each one of those to Bay Street. During technical review, the question was raised about parking, so we revised parking for visitors to not have to back up onto Bay Street. That's reflected in the plan in front of you. This plan takes into account shorefront conditions, so we stayed out of the 50-foot shorefront buffer. We used pervious materials for walkways where required in that buffer. We stayed outside of the buffer for all the wetlands that were found on the lot to the south. And we took all that stuff into account when we designed this property. This is a high visibility project for us. As you know, something like 10,000 people are turning 65 every day in America. So there's a growing demand for housing of this kind. And this is in keeping with our 10-year strategic plan that Taylor recently announced, which is to create more individual independent living housing. Along the way, we ran into a few hurdles. The question of sewer capacity came up. We addressed that directly with the DPW, who researched that, and we have approval for this based on capacity, but also based on the lower flow capacity that the elderly use per DOT regulations. DES, excuse me. So I think we got pretty much everything accounted for here. We did a parking analysis. There's plenty of parking at each unit, as well as additional parking for visitors. As you're aware, Taylor last year built a perch beach on the property, as well as a U-shaped dock, which is used for all of our community. Folks can come from Sugar Hill, They can come from Meredith or Laconia. We bus them. So many people will actually be bused on our transportation, so we don't foresee a whole lot of traffic going down that driveway. And we provided for, I think, 6 parking spaces for folks that wanted to drive themselves down to either kayak, use the beach, or swim down there. So we took that into account also, but I wanted to make sure that the board understood that in Taylor's model, we transport our residents and we left a wide flare at each unit to make sure there was adequate parking for both the resident at their unit and also anybody who's going directly to visit them at home. We provided a turnaround, which we feel is suitable for all of utility vehicles, including the fire department. You'll see that is at the end, at the bottom. Originally, we had shown a loop road because we were putting 10 units in there, and the cost of doing a loop road with loop piping for water supply was exorbitant, so we reduced that to a just turnaround at the end. And to my knowledge, everyone's okay with that, including the fire department. We also revised the size of the water main at the chief's request to an 8-inch directly to the hydrant, and then we have a flushing hydrant at the end, so we don't have to provide a full loop to the water main on the site. I think that's kind of the important parts that I wanted to hit. Basically, it's 8 nice units. These will actually be 2-story, typically sized for Taylor independent cottages. We have quite a few across the road. These are slightly larger. They have full walkout basements, which is similar to the units up at Sugar Hill off 109A. And we designed them with a deck above and a nice patio below so they could take advantage of both the water views from up above and below. Any questions?
Yeah, you mentioned parking, and I note that on site plan C1, there are 4 spaces on the driveway, and then on the lighting plan L1, it shows 6 spaces on Bay Street.
Sure, our lighting plan should be updated. I'll do it speak loud.
You can take the microphone. There you go.
There you go.
You're on television.
And if you could introduce yourself, please.
Sarah Wardy with Du Bois
Thank you.
King.
Thank you.
So one of the changes that's different between my plan that I have here and the plan that you have in front of you is we added 2 additional parking spots. So the copy that you have in front of you has 4 parking spots on this interior road, and we're showing 6 now. And the drainage was revised to reflect that. That was based on moving the parking inside, was based on feedback received at TRC to prevent, there's existing parking in a gravel area right here along Bay Street. And we got feedback that we shouldn't have cars backing into Bay Street. So we were able to move it, we did.
Bad model.
Thank you.
Does each one of these units have a garage?
Didn't hear that, Vaughn.
Does each one of these units have a garage?
Yes, it does. And I actually,
Thank you for calling them units. I was a little thrown when it said cottages, and I went, oh, 8 cottages, this is going to be cute. And then I saw what they are. These are 2 houses bigger than my house, put together, 100 feet, and 4 of them that we will all get to see from across the bay. I'm a little 3 stories tall, double decks. It's huge, huge. They do not look cute and cottagey. And everyone who's on the other side of the bay, playing soccer, playing tennis, walking the dogs, is going to be staring right in their windows. That's my feeling, I'm sorry.
Well, they're single story with a walkout basement. They're coming unfinished for the basement. They have a single car garage that's actually a little oversized, so I wouldn't call them huge. We call them cottages because they're independent living. They're basically single family homes that are duplexed. That's what we're calling them. And I think they're not super large. They're only a little over 2,000 square feet each.
I have a preliminary comment, and that is that if you merge these lots, you're entitled to build 1 duplex on that lot.
We had a go-around, but our understanding of density is because in the Bay Street Limited Commercial District, density is not specifically designated, but if you look further in the general conditions, it's 2 units per acre, and we have 4.1 acres. So we calculated a total, and we've done this twice, a total of 8 units for the 4 acres.
But you're under section 175-106, you're permitted 1 duplex dwelling per lot.
And that's under permitted
I
use.
apologize, but the permitted uses say duplex dwelling. It doesn't say per lot. It does say that the minimum lot area is 1 acre. So with the absence of a density definition, it would appear that you are allowed to have 1 duplex per acre.
Now, the zoning ordinance is specific. It is, in its interpretation, is you're allowed 1 single detached unit, 1 duplex dwelling. It says duplex dwelling. It doesn't say duplex dwellings, and that is how this ordinance has been interpreted. If you look in the other districts, it doesn't say 1 single family dwelling. It says single family dwelling. And I think that if you, as you proceeded, as I believe you did on the other side of the road, if you looked at elderly housing, that would solve it. If this was a condominium development, you could do that, but this isn't. Your density would work. But because it's per lot.
Well, I think we have a misunderstanding of that because we've asked that of the planner a number of times. We never got a clear response on that. But in our interpretation, we had Novus Engineering look at this as a full review of the zoning ordinance. So we've had 2 firms look at the zoning ordinance as it's written. And as it's written, we feel that the 8 units, which is 4 duplexes, which are allowable in Bay Street Limited Commercial District, apply. We'd be glad to go back and look at it, but
I think if you applied for under elderly housing, then it wouldn't be an issue. I think what you're proposing is a great idea. I just think we need to look at how the zoning ordinance has been interpreted and should be interpreted. And if you look at the ordinance, it doesn't say 1, it says what are the permitted uses. It says single detached unit, duplex dwelling.
you know,
And it gives you a lot size in the district.
I believe at the technical review board meeting, we were asked about the elderly housing, but our review of what that now is designated in the zoning ordinance and statewide, if we use the elderly housing designation, there is a tripwire for low-income housing as a component of that, and that's not a part of our model.
Additionally, elderly housing requires a special exception, whereas what we are proposing is duplex units, which are a permitted use.
Well, not in my interpretation, they aren't.
Does the town have a zoning administrator?
We have hired a new town planner, and we have been working with an emergency interim town planner. But I can tell you, I've been doing zoning in Wolfeboro for 50 years, and that's my interpretation.
Kathy, would you like to comment?
Yeah, this was brought up at TRC, this issue.
Don't really understand my own notes, but it says special permit dash no duplex. That's what I wrote down. So I think it needs a little bit more study.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll make one other comment now that I'm making you unhappy. Under section, in addressing this property, having people brought in from elsewhere or people on the other side of Bay Street using the property, that's not permitted under section 175-52, which says lots which are adjacent to the shoreline of any lake or pond are prohibited from granting, leasing, or otherwise conveying rights for water access to any other lot, except on it refers to the conservation subdivision provision. That's basically our anti-funnel development provision.
There is no proposed conveyance of the land or the rights. It would be Taylor Community using it, and Taylor Community is the owner of the property.
But you would be granting people on the other side of the road the right to use it.
But you just quoted it and it said conveyance of the rights, which is not what we are proposing.
No, it says prohibited from granting, leasing, or otherwise conveying rights for water access, and you're granting them the right to use it.
But it is not being sold. It is not being conveyed to them.
It doesn't matter whether it's being sold.
I guess I have a follow-up question. Where we built a pool, are you saying that we can't use that pool and bring people to that building because our other residents need to be brought to that at times? Because I think conveyance, and this is the problem that oftentimes residents have with zoning ordinance, the words that are put into the ordinance are very specific and need to be carefully used, because conveyance is most likely used in terms of selling or giving, not in usage.
I don't know what restrictions were imposed when that pool went in, but this is talking about access to a lake or pond, which I would not take to include your pool.
I guess I would ask, do they intend to give permission for the residents to use it as opposed to giving them the right to use it? Can we distinguish between permission and right? Because a right is something that perhaps can't be rescinded, whereas permission could be rescinded.
Well, I think that this is essentially an anti-funnel development provision in the ordinance. And in fact, the ordinance has been interpreted in other instances where people have tried to use land on the opposite side of a lot with shore frontage, and that has been shown not to be permissible. And then you're just sort of circumventing. I mean, if somebody in one of these cottages wants to invite somebody to dinner, nobody's going to say, and they go down to the waterfront, nobody's going to say that they're violating the ordinance. But the purpose is to prevent overcrowding of the shoreline, and if everybody in any Taylor home anywhere can come down there, that defeats the purpose of this provision.
I think that's an interesting understanding of the ordinance. I think it's, from a rational perspective, a Taylor community who's invested over $45 million into the town of Wolfeboro, who's bought property there, is developing this property for independent residents of an elderly nature, and has spent a couple $100,000 putting a beach and a dock in for use of their residents. I think that part of the ordinance, the way you're interpreting it, is very highly prohibitive and not in the keeping of the ordinance, which is allowing owners of property to use it and reap the benefits of owning waterfront property.
Oh, it's absolutely in keeping with the ordinance. There used to be 150 feet required for any back lot with lake access. And I want to be perfectly clear. I think Taylor Homes is a wonderful asset to the community. I look at this plan and I have some concerns about parts of it, but I think it seems like a good use of the property on Back Bay. But my responsibility sitting here is to see whether it meets the requirements of the zoning ordinance, and that's all I'm trying to accomplish here.
There are other properties in town, small little strips on the lake that have not been allowed to be used by across the street properties. I mean, I'm concerned about precedent.
Yeah.
Can you cite an example?
Another option would be, what if we merged those 4 lots and did a bifurcated lot merger where we put it all in the across the street lot? It becomes one lot owned by Taylor Community.
You can't do that because you've got a road bisecting the property.
Right. Mr. Chairman?
No, by state statute, you can actually merge lots across the road. And that would be one way of circumventing it, and that's not what I'm really suggesting. But legally, I think that would be an alternative to merge lots, all that into the greater lot that all the other cottages are on. And that way, it's all the same residents using the same property.
I'm not convinced you can do that.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
a comment was made that there's precedence here. Do we know specifically where that precedence is?
Vaughn, I think Paul's question was, you had said that there are other examples in town. Can you cite any of those examples?
I'm just thinking of a couple of strips on either Wolfeboro Bay or Rust Pond that are like this, and I don't think that the strips can be granted to people across the street with access. I don't even think you can lease or sell your dock separately.
Mr. Chairman, maybe I didn't hear it correctly. So you're saying there are other parcels that may have the attributes that this land has. I misunderstood. I thought I heard you say there were other parcels that have had a decision taken about whether they could or could not have across the street situations. So you didn't say that. What you said is you're aware of other parcels that may have a similar situation.
I don't know the list of parcels.
Okay.
But I think there are some.
Yeah.
I can give you a specific example, and that is at Point Breeze on Pleasant Valley Road, across from where Alan Stevens' house used to be. There was a lot owned by the developers of Point Breeze, and they were not allowed to grant rights of access to that lot.
So that might be there's a precedent that might be searchable. Look at it and see how that applies here, right?
Well, I can tell you what happened because I happened to own property in the middle of Point Breeze, and when the developers of Point Breeze tried to do that, we objected and the planning board agreed with us.
So there's a record of that objection on those issues that may inform this applicant. Okay, that might be one to research.
And my other concern is you had mentioned earlier the possibility of bringing in Taylor community residents from Meredith, for example, to use this property, and certainly that would not be solved by merging the properties across the street from Bay Street.
I think you have to understand, and I've said this before in front of the boards in Wolfeboro, that our model is we make it convenient for residents. Some of them no longer feel comfortable driving. Some of them just don't want to drive, so we will take them within a 15-mile radius of wherever they live, whether it's Meredith, Laconia, or Wolfeboro. In this case, we have a substantial property down 109A with a whole bunch of folks. We have a pool down at Back Bay. We also have a really nice dining facility up at Sugar Hill. So we transport people to the amenity that they would like to use. It's part of, a large organization owning a number of properties and making them the best use for the residents, to be honest. And it's part of our model. If we had every resident driving their own cars everywhere, then the traffic, the congestion, some of these things wouldn't work. So our model provides transportation when they request it. And again, we don't want to put a parking lot down on the waterfront in case, 30 people decide that they want to go down to the beach one day. We are providing transportation if that happens, and we also have a small parking area for them.
Well, I would echo Roger's comments in that I think what Taylor Communities does for the town is wonderful, and you have a very good operation, but at the same time, sitting here at this table now, we need to make sure that everything conforms to the zoning ordinances, and I guess at this point, we have to make sure it's being interpreted properly.
Well, let me ask you this question. How are we going to determine whether that's a legitimate interpretation of the ordinance? Who makes that call?
I guess, Shannon, I would defer to you, and perhaps we need to talk to council.
To be fair, after this was brought up at the TRC meeting, we did contact Shanna and request for a determination to be made prior to us coming here tonight, but we did not get an answer.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I can certainly make a determination now based on the input from the board, and then if they want to appeal that, they can. I think what they're looking for is an avenue to appeal, and then they can, if they want to appeal that, they can appeal that. It was my recommendation that they come and ask the board, because I wasn't, as I say, I'm a substitute teacher. I'm not here to give zoning interpretations just yet. So,
Did you look at our I'm looking right now at our elderly housing. Would these be licensed by an appropriate state agency?
No, these are considered independent living, so they're like apartments. They're only duplexes, but they're like apartments or single-family homes. As you're aware, we spent a substantial amount of money on Back Bay to build a assisted living, nursing, and memory care unit there.
Oh, there's memory care out there. Didn't know that.
I'm still bothered by the mass of the item, which dwarfs any of the neighbors' houses. The scale of the houses, both to left and the right on Bay Street, are much smaller in visual aspect than what I see here. This is a massive building. Maybe if it was gone back to the drawing board and made it so it looked like smaller units, that would be something that I would say, oh, a cottage. But as it is now, this is a massive building. And when looking from the lakeside, it is 3 stories. You have a full walkout basement. And right next door to it on either side are these miniature little houses. And across the street are miniature little buildings. The only thing that's on this scale, honestly, is Sawmill Marina.
Actually, they've been building a couple of really gigantic homes to the left of our butters for a number of years now, and actually those homes actually eclipse all of our houses put together. And I don't think that there's a requirement for size anywhere in the zoning ordinance that dictates what size property we would build on that property.
No, I'm not saying size specifically. I'm saying visual scope. This is a massive building. If you broke it up to look like cottages with maybe a garage attached instead of one massive building, that would help the look a little bit. To blend in with the rest of the community as it is now, it's going to look like a hotel, only 4 of them.
I think we're up over 300 single-family homes. We kind of know what blends. When we built the RAB, we made it architecturally look more in keeping with a single-family residence with a whole bunch of roof lines. We have designed these cottages with all of the requirements, architectural requirements that were brought up at the TRC. They're in keeping with shorefront Wolfeboro properties in size and scope. They're literally arranged to the street and 2 stories to the back, and they're not overly large, in our opinion.
If you did not merge the lots, you could build a duplex on each one of these lots.
It becomes difficult to try and straddle all those various lots, but you're correct. We could try sticking them in, but then it would be really tricky with driveways.
I think you could. Part of my concern is not with Taylor Home doing this, but it's when the next guy comes down the road who's a developer and wants to figure out a way to poke a hole in the zoning ordinance. Not that I'm suggesting all developers try to do that, but you could reconfigure the lots maybe.
You know, I do this in 4 towns, right? And I've done this for many years, and you guys have to balance what the ordinance says with what people are asking for and what's in best interest of the town. I would counter, Roger, with what you're saying and say, how many Taylor communities does Wolfeboro have? How many elderly housing property managers do you have in this town that have put almost $50 million into this town? You just stated that we are a great asset to this town. We're just buying waterfront. It's not like we have, you know, adolescent camp that's going and we're going to bus kids down there to the waterfront. We're talking about people that are generally 80 years or older that want to go sit on the dock, want to read a book at the beach, and occasionally we're going to bus them down there. I just want to caution the board, and my recommendation is to really think about what's in the best interest of the town. We purchased that land back in '22. At the time, the ordinance was very clear. You know, we could build a bunch of houses down there. The ordinance has changed, and I understand that, but both Du Bois and King and Novus Engineering have looked at this and went through your zoning ordinance with a fine-tooth comb. They didn't find that particular stipulation in there. Otherwise, we would have addressed that somehow before we got to this table to actually propose this. We think that the proposal to build 4 duplexes on a 4-acre lot down over the hill, you know, that's looking at the water through the trees, which we're leaving, is really a good use of that property. And I think it's really in keeping. In fact, it's going to look better than a lot of some of the places that I see going down, further down Bay Street.
I'd like to see a legal opinion on whether or not the waterfront can be shared and how many duplexes can go on this one lot. I mean, I think we have to follow our ordinances. And we, you know, despite the good things that you're doing for town, we absolutely can't just shift right and left.
I mean, we can't say these are really nice people doing wonderful things for the town, so we should just approve it.
Oh, I disagree. I think you could say that just fine.
All we need is one abutter, and you're dead in the water. He doesn't like what we did. Not yet.
Wait a minute.
So yes, I guess I'd make a formal request of our interim planner to answer the questions that Vaughn just posed.
And can we get them submitted in writing?
Correct.
Yes.
And get written response?
Absolutely.
I have another request. If we're going to submit this to legal, we'll do the same. Also, my understanding is that this project went to third-party review, and I don't believe we've been included in that. We haven't seen any feedback or notes on that. So can someone clarify if that happened?
That's still in process. We don't have any feedback from third party yet.
Okay.
But we're getting it.
Correct.
All right, so I don't believe we're at the point where we're going to accept this application as complete, and therefore I think we're precluded from having public comment, are we not?
That's correct. If you don't accept it as complete, that is correct.
Yeah.
I was going to mention, Mr. Chairman, just to make sure that when we do come back, we don't then send the applicant off for more plan changes. There were a few other things that I was looking for some input on. Landscaping, I wanted to make sure the board was okay with the landscaping that was proposed. It's sheet LS1. It's, as I said in my notes, 4 red maples and some shrubs. I don't know what's typical here as far as a landscaping plan, if that was sufficient or if you wanted more.
I think more landscaping will come after people move in and decide that it's not good, or it's too windy here, or whatever. Sometimes more isn't better.
I don't expect that the occupants of these cottages will have the freedom to change the landscaping.
No, but they would complain.
Historically, what Wolfeboro has been okay with is we provide a typical landscape plan because we have so many cottages and properties. It's kind of expensive to do a specific one for every project, so we present a typical plan. We have a landscape plan there with the species of trees. It's been amended based on some changes, but it's all there. And it's representative of what we would normally do in any of our projects on any of our campuses.
Yeah, could you confirm the height, that it meets the height for our ordinance?
The building?
The buildings?
The peak, the roof peak height.
Yes, right.
I will have to check on that, but I spoke with our architect and he said it met all of the architectural requirements for Wolfeboro, so I'm assuming it met the height restriction.
Well, okay, but
I will double check.
Yeah. We probably should have him come and explain this to us, I would think.
Sorry, Kathy. 2 other quick things that I had was the snow storage didn't appear to be shown anywhere, and the lighting. I see the plan, but I don't actually see the fixtures, the fixture type. So I was hoping that could be included as well.
Actually, snow storage is shown on the site plan.
C1?
Sarah's going to show that to you. It's there.
There's snow storage shown here at the top of the cul-de-sac, and here where the road turns, as well as here and here. There's a call out for snow storage right here.
Thank you.
And these are all down directed. They're all down directed.
The lighting is down
Downcast, dark sky compliant lighting, correct.
Yeah, right.
There should be details on the lighting plan in a chart at the bottom. But if that's not clear, or didn't come through, we'll make sure that's on the next slide.
Yeah, I did not see it on the lighting plan.
The front landscape plan, do you feel as if you've met the ordinance for the front landscape plan of this project? Can you point it out for us? That would be great.
There aren't really specific requirements. For example, it doesn't say, a street tree every 50 feet. There aren't really specific requirements. Generally, when we were designing the landscaping, we were trying to think of each home as a home, so trying to provide some screening and some privacy between the units. And the walking path and the road. So this is an existing paved and gravel access to the dock that exists. So, we're going to put some landscaping there to create some privacy from the road for this unit. And we've proposed some landscaping along the path to provide some separation between these homes. Additionally, Taylor plans to do a typical house planting plan for each unit. So there will be additional plants around each unit. We hadn't finished that for the submission.
All right, but I was concerned about the front along Bay Street. What's your proposal there?
So we have planting and a tree proposed right here.
Does that meet the ordinance, Shannon?
I guess that was my question for you guys, was that it seemed a little light.
It doesn't seem to.
Can I make a note on that, that I'm not opposed to that, because there's very few spaces along that road where you can actually see the bay.
Okay.
So we also have that as
part of our ordinance.
keeping the spaces open.
The only reason I brought it up.
So you mentioned earlier about having typical plans rather than doing a custom plan for each development. Is it possible for you to provide us with an example of that typical plan?
Sure.
Yes, Sarah's working on them as we speak. It's going to be a typical for, those style cottages.
Thank you.
Yeah, the other issue that came up at TRC was the town sewer. And we don't have anything from the Director of Public Works. But he was concerned about whether this would fit into our town sewer.
You mean from a capacity perspective?
Yes.
He conveyed to me verbally that the concern was alleviated. I do not have that in writing. I can certainly get that in writing.
I think that
I'd
would
recommend
be,
that.
I think that would be good.
Yeah, thanks for the catch, Kathy. I think we probably need to ensure that anything like this gets written down.
And the storm drainage plan, do we know what the holdup is on that?
I don't. I have not checked in with third party before this meeting.
Okay, but we certainly need that if we're going to continue this.
Yeah.
And have we received state shoreland approval?
Given the question about the sewer and, a couple weeks before we were supposed to appear before you guys when the snowstorm came, the decision was made to take each application on a case-by-case basis, and then we worked with DPW to provide information that they told us that they feel comfortable with the application connecting to sewer, but if a determination is made that this site has to be supported by individual septic systems, we will have to completely redesign the site. So we've held off on submitting state permits because we don't want to have to retract them if we have to redesign the site.
Mr. Chairman.
Our plan is to submit them as soon as we receive town approval.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, because you need the alteration of terrain and... Yes,
correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yeah, I think Kathy's request or Shannon's request to get it in writing on sewer is to your benefit. You don't want to be surprised. We want to make sure that at least on that side of the equation we're clear with you. Okay, and if you got a verbal from Mr. Randall, it's probably most likely that you're going to get something in writing, but we'll follow up. Thank you.
Yeah, we would want something in writing, as I'm sure you would as well.
Exactly. Exactly.
Has the town reviewed this per shoreland regulations?
We have not, because it does not fall in the shoreland district.
Not a shoreline district.
Or under the zoning ordinance.
Correct.
Yeah.
Mixed use.
There is a shoreland in the Bay Street Limited Business, there's a shoreland setback of 50 feet, but there's no shoreland district
No
requirements.
district per se.
I have a couple of questions. I think you mentioned that it looks like an but going back to the overall plan, that thing that extends down from Bay Street, what is that?
I apologize, I didn't print out the existing conditions plan, but this is the existing conditions plan. So on the site currently, there is a paved and gravel parking area along Bay Street with a gravel access down, I think so people could load their boats maybe? Because there's a boat winch at the bottom near the dock.
Is that going to remain?
No, it is not.
The plan doesn't seem to show any kind of a road coming down over there.
Yes, the roadway that exists currently will be under the homes. It's going to be vegetated, it's not going to remain. The kayak rack, beach area, and docks are to remain, but the only access that's going to be provided to them is by a walking path.
Are the little submarines on the plan, are they propane tanks? Mm-hmm. Other than the lights on the path, are there going to be any other lights in front between the buildings and the shorefront? I couldn't find.
Just building mounted lights, kind of on someone's deck near their. There are 3 proposed pole lights along the roadway. They will be downcast, dark sky compliant.
And we need detail sheets for those fixtures.
Yep.
Yep.
One more comment on the architecturals. I tried to do the math on the ridge height. It looked like you were under 30, but that was just my math. So if they could put some ridge elevations on
that'd be helpful.
On the architectural.
It's actually not ridge height, it's building height, and that's defined in the ordinance.
Right.
It's halfway up the highest roof from eave to ridge versus average grade around the building.
They did provide some elevations here, so
You need the mic.
Yeah, you need the microphone.
Sorry about that. The basement here is at 90 feet, first floor is at 100, roof plate is at 109. I am not an architect, so that's why I didn't jump in with, yes, it's fine. There's also another measurement for 5 feet, 3 inches. We will...
Just confirm it.
Yes.
So you've got about 25 feet from the bottom in the rear to the top of that window.
And that's per structure. The grade is different around every structure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm going to guess, just eyeballing it, as Steve just said, that from the top of that window to the peak of the roof, let's call that another 5 feet, so you might be at 30. So I expect that you're within you meet the zoning
we have
ordinance.
to do a calculation on each of the units. We just recently finished the grading plans, so now we'll have to go look, and we'll actually make sure that all the buildings meet the...
Yeah, it appears to me that you're well within it.
Yeah, I think we're going to be...
Not a bad idea to write it down.
That's right.
Also, as just another point of clarification, because it was talked about a couple times, it is a single story. When you drive in from your garage, the living space is single story. There is, I think, a cathedral type ceiling, but it is single story. And then you have the walkout basement. So this is not a second floor. One single story and the walkout.
And the windows in the gables, is that part of the cathedral ceiling?
I believe so, in the living room area.
Sure.
Yeah, we have vaulted, the whole interior on that floor is basically vaulted, so it appears like there's another floor up there, but it's all just a high ceiling. It's basically a ranch with a basement underneath it.
Yeah. So Vaughn, did you say that the height is calculated by average grade?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Natural, average.
Actual average grade of the building itself, not the several, yeah, each building. Got it.
Yeah, it's a little formula.
Pretty simple, straightforward. Yeah. Okay.
Is the area between the buildings and Back Bay going to be grass? Or it seems like if there were some more plantings in there, that might help with runoff.
Are you talking about these areas?
I'm talking, yeah.
Waterfront.
They will have,
Yeah.
they'll have a backyard, they'll have grass between, and then everything that's shaded in the white is going to be pervious. It'll be like a crushed rock for a walkway. Everything that's gray will be paved.
While the Bay Street Limited Commercial District is exempt from the town's shoreline requirements, we are still held to the state's shoreline requirements, which only allow pervious surfaces within the 50-foot. So that's why we're going to create a pervious walking path and picnic area.
Yep.
Additionally, between the 50-foot and the 150-foot setbacks, we have to maintain a certain percentage of woodland buffer, which means don't touch it. Leave it the way it was. So that's the hatched area that you see. It is mostly wooded, and we don't plan on altering it. Wherever else there are impacts, I mean, generally it's a kind of a wide open field feel. So the other disturbed areas will be restored with vegetation. Generally.
Yeah, and your calculations seem to show that you met the undisturbed area under the state regs.
Correct.
I didn't catch that, Roger. I'm sorry.
They meet the requirements under the Shoreline Water Quality Protection Act.
Okay.
I guess one last comment is that walkway coming down just seems to be designed to pour runoff into Back Bay. Yeah. The fact that there's about a 10-foot change in elevation between the road and where it goes off to the side.
So one of the things that's almost like contrary to how you would see the site and how you would think it would be designed, our road is actually super elevated into the hill. So this curb line is a high point. So you will not get road runoff coming down this path because where the road meets the path is a high point. We've directed the runoff to the inside so that we can capture it through catch basins, closed drainage into a detention basin. This is going to have an underdrain pipe with stone, so it's going to allow the water to infiltrate and filter through. We have an outlet control, and the water from the circle will also enter this detention basin. Then all of the water that is going in there is going to be piped down to a treatment swale that has been designed to meet AOT standards to treat the water before it is directed to a riprap apron to control the runoff speed, and then ultimately a wooded buffer before it hits the water. This project has undergone a substantial concept development phase where we've moved a lot of things around and made a lot of changes to try to reduce our impacts within the shoreland and to meet AOT standards. But we've been mindful. I mean, one of the first iterations, we were like, oh, a grand walking path everywhere, but we took that off because we want to try to reduce our impacts within the shoreline. And we really have produced very minimal, or we're proposing very minimal tree cutting to be mindful of the neighbors. The only tree cutting is a small corner here. This entire wooded property line is generally proposed to remain the same.
You're really dealing with a property that doesn't have that many trees on it to begin with.
No.
Understood.
No, there aren't many. So, Mr. Chairman, what are the two issues that Shanna, you're taking back to go look at?
2?
Many more than 2.
I think what you mean is
I was saying in base 2, 2.
what 2 issues am I bringing to legal counsel?
Yeah.
So there's the definition of what this is, whether this is duplex or elderly housing, and then if it's duplex, what the density is.
Yeah.
And then there's the question of zoning ordinance 17552, which is the final development regarding whether or not others can access the waterfront associated with this.
So does that include, that second question, will that include, Roger, your comment about precedence at Point Breeze?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the issue on 175, 106, whether that means you can have more than one duplex on a lot, which I think based on the interpretation of the ordinance is pretty clear that you can't. Just like with a single-family dwelling.
But the other items we've dealt with here in terms of lighting, which you owe us a little more on that, the drainage plan, which thank you for doing that, contains what you just described in terms of the calculations for the discharge of the water and how much is going to run off that street. So the other things, I think, and I think, Kathy, you've got some questions about landscaping and things of that nature, which you can buff up on that.
Typical landscape plan is what I heard us to prepare.
And I don't think the question that Julie's asking gets resolved here, which is, oh my God, this thing might look not pretty looking across the water body. That's a different discussion, perhaps. I'm just trying to say I don't think we have anything else to ask here.
I can go through my notes real quick if that's helpful.
Yes, it would. Thank you.
So I had confirmation of height, looking into the massing of the building, especially from the bay. The parking has changed, so that needs to be updated in the plan. The typical house landscaping plan, the third-party review, which we haven't received yet. Getting something in writing from the Public Works Department about the sewer.
Yes.
Updated, that's parking. I have a note for myself to look at snow storage because I obviously missed that. And then lighting, including the fixtures, and a condition if I hadn't included it about the state AOT and shoreland.
Do you want to do the lot merger? And I'm assuming you don't want to do the lot merger until you see where we're going.
But that will be a separate application and a separate vote.
Correct.
Thank you.
All right, for the benefit of the members of the public here, I'll say that we have not accepted the application as complete, and therefore we can't yet open the public hearing. However, you're welcome, of course, at any time to submit comments in writing to the planning department that will be included in this review. Yes, I understand, but again, we haven't opened the public hearing, so we can't accept the comments during this session. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you might have. So I'll make a motion to continue this hearing to Tuesday, April 7th at 7 p.m. here in the Great Hall.
Yeah, I second that.
Are you comfortable with that? You comfortable?
You can ask for a change of date later.
We don't have public hearing.
I know, we're trying to get it done.
It's up to you guys.
What's that concern?
They wanted to say something out loud about Taylor.
Okay, thank you.
We haven't voted. We haven't voted it.
Would somebody like to second the
I
motion?
seconded it.
Seconded? All right, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
I don't know.
Oh.
They said it was for Taylor,
Poor Taylor, yeah.
but they wanted her on TV.
They're nice to understand.
Other business. We have Paul Fleischner and Denise Fleischner, tax map 231-31 and 231-32 lot merger. No public hearing required. Do we have any other information on that, Shanna? The lot merger?
Did you guys get site plan? Thank you.
I don't have it.
We got this plan,
Yes,
which is,
picture.
which,
That's all.
which,
Yep.
which is not
So
they're merging the one that's outlined and the one next to it, which is not remotely clear from what they presented.
from the
It was when you
application.
read it 7 times.
I had to look it up in the tax map to find out what they were merging.
So tell me how many times you had to look it up. 7. It was not obvious.
I don't remember seeing that. It wasn't in my packet.
Yeah, I got this.
No, I think this was emailed, I think.
Yeah, we don't have a requirement for a map with the voluntary lot merger application, and so I provide this kind of as a courtesy off the GIS. I don't know how you guys have seen what you received before.
We usually, I think I always supplied them for lot mergers. So somebody knows I think we've gotten maps in the past, because otherwise you have no idea what you're merging.
Yeah,
and if
I
one
agree.
of them has a house sitting on it, you can't merge 2 houses.
I don't disagree with you, yeah. While I've been here, we've been getting the application and the deed, and that's it. Typically, and I had this conversation with the chair, is that usually there's something that the planning board signs too, that's a part of the package. So I'm not sure how you guys document making your decision either. So we're going to go back through the files and try and figure that out too.
Kathy, do you have any history on that? No?
I
Signed them.
Yeah.
Heck, I do. So I do because I did it with you characters. I submitted two tax maps, one for the current and proposed. Actually, it was a survey, 2 surveys. You all dispositioned it, and then I got a letter from the planning department prior to you saying it's been approved, date, time, and I think, I don't remember whether this organization or my lawyer had to go do something at the county.
Registry?
Yes, that'd be filed.
I think you had to do something,
To be recorded.
but it was formal. I mean, I formally had to make a request. It was either tax maps or surveys, and in my case, it was 2 surveys.
Okay.
You guys voted on it. You sent me a letter, and then we had to get it filed at the county.
Usually, we have seen a survey showing existing and proposed lots, and
Yes.
if they're not going to survey the whole thing, they ask for a waiver.
Yes.
But that's usually presented.
Yeah, we didn't ask, yeah, you're right. We didn't ask for the waiver. We just were putting the 2 of them together, but we showed it to you with a surveyor's survey.
Okay.
Which was
It is
ran.
kind of hard on what we've got here to figure out when that shot was taken from a drone.
Right.
And is there a building there now?
Right.
It doesn't say it anywhere.
Yeah.
Because I
Right.
was really confused. I thought it was the end lot on the road.
Yeah.
You know, and that's got a building on it, so is it across the street?
I'm sure there's something in the rule book, right? Don't we have something? We got to have something in the rule book as to how you do this.
There isn't.
There ain't nothing in the rule book?
Yeah,
Merger
but
procedure.
I can now look up, if you don't mind, I'm going to look in the registry and see what was recorded for your
Yeah,
lot.
yeah, go ahead.
So that we've got some sort of template to work off of moving forward.
I'll charge you a $10 surveyor's fee for this. Sure.
Well, and I know Randy Tetro has done a billion of these. He's usually,
Yeah, and
Okay.
we usually have plans that says this is on
Yeah.
this lot and this is on this lot.
I had the Randy
you can do
lawyer
it.
do mine, the guy in the yellow house over there. I had him do that. Okay.
I did, when I saw this, email Randy Walker to ask him if the Fleisners had a mortgage, and I got no response. So I think we should have a plan that shows what's being merged, so people
Correct.
understand
Correct.
in the future.
Correct.
and I think it's always gone to the Registry of Deeds.
Has to.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
has to be.
Has to,
Recorded,
yeah.
Yeah.
Has to.
Yeah, I think Shanna's concern just was how we approve it within Wolfeboro.
Yeah. And not every town requires a survey. A lot of towns just
Tax map.
require the approval letter being recorded. Just because it's a merger, there's no change to the exterior boundary lines.
At least the tax map would have had numbers and stuff on it where this overhead has nothing.
Yeah.
Well,
Gotcha.
I went out on the assessing records and used the tax map numbers, and he told me the lots didn't exist.
The lots what, Roger?
He told me the lots didn't exist, which
Didn't
I thought was
exist.
par for the course. But I will make a motion that we approve the lot merger contingent upon receipt of a statement that there are no mortgages on the property, or in the event there are mortgages, that we have the consent of the mortgagee in writing
Second.
in a form suitable for recording in the Registry of Deeds.
All right, Paul seconds.
Second.
Any further discussion?
I think we've always had a survey.
Well, at least a
Or
drawing of some
waivers.
sort.
No?
Tax map.
Tax map, something.
I-
We've got
Yeah,
nothing.
I offered a survey because when I purchased that second lot, the person who sold it to me, I required a survey before I bought it. So I provided a survey of my land and the adjoining land. But I recall, and I might be wrong, I recall that, you could, that I was told I could provide tax map data from the GIS system, as long as these things were contiguous, right? And so since I had the survey, I filed it that way. And I was asked, Roger, your question, are there any mortgages, liens, actions on the property which that you guys need to know about? And I remember, Randy, the other Randy, asking me those questions before he sent in the application, so that it was clean.
If there's a mortgage and it gets foreclosed, then the lots are unmerged.
Exactly.
It also-
Mortgages, liens, whatever, mechanics liens, all kinds of things.
Yeah.
I'm reading from the state merger law. It says no new survey plat need to be recorded, but a notice of the merger is sufficient to identify the relevant parcels and endorsed in writing by the planning board or as a designee shall be filed for recording in the registry of deeds.
Right.
And a copy mailed to them entirely to the assessor's officials.
And the other part of that is if there's any mortgage on any of the lots, the applicant shall give written notice to each mortgage holder at the time of the submission of the application.
Correct.
Written consent of each mortgage holder shall be required as a condition of approval and shall be recorded.
And not to belabor the topic, but the nuance of all of this is if the merger takes place in a subdivision, it doesn't affect the lot count in the subdivision. The lot count in the subdivision stays the same. If there's 10 lots in the subdivision and 2 lots merge, you still have 10 lots in the subdivision.
That's just so they can hit you up for an extra road fee.
That's exactly right.
So-
For an extra HOA fee.
We have a motion. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Make a motion to adjourn?
I'm sorry,
Oh,
I
sorry.
have 2 other quick things.
Yeah, go ahead.
I finally remembered to bring the books, so I have 3 books. If anybody wants a book, they're yours.
Which one is that,
And if we have more than 3 people, let me know,
What
because
is
I do
that?
have a few extras at the LRPC office.
I
Was
expect
that the new
our
and improved
member
state
will want
land
one.
use book?
Yes, okay.
So I have in my office a big book of all the zoning ordinances that we used to be able to turn in to get updated. Is that possible?
So I don't know if folks have been on our zoning ordinance page, but I have been trying to get the digital ordinance updated. So you'll see where there used to just be the shoreland ordinance at the top pending. There's now all the ordinance that you guys have passed over the past few years. Unfortunately, they're not very well labeled, but we are in process of getting those then incorporated into the ordinance. I believe when that formally happens, they provide new pages, and I can bring those new pages to you to update your big ordinance. These are state statute books, though, just to clarify.
Yeah, no, I get
Yep.
that.
Oh, okay.
But I'm just thinking town's version.
Yep. The second thing I just wanted to say is that our dear beloved, and I'm putting my LRPC, Lakes Region Planning Commission hat on, our dear beloved commissioner has resigned from Wolfeboro.
What do you mean?
Yes, it has. Yes, his term has expired. So Wolfeboro is now not represented before the Lakes Region Planning Commission.
As of May
8th. Did somebody say Roger resigned or expired?
Expired.
And so it is typically a member of the planning board. I'm putting that out there that I think you guys are actually, you have 2 positions open, if anyone is interested. If not, I will move on to the zoning board and the Concom and historic district and all the other
Yeah, I
boards.
think we are entitled to 2.
Correct.
And
Yep.
I believe there is a newly elected member of the Board of Adjustment who I think will be an excellent representative.
I think he knows that.
I already told him that.
He has not stepped up and said he will do it.
I think he just got volunteered.
But again, that leaves one opening. So if anyone on the board is interested, we will be talking about the wetland mitigation fees and how towns can access that under the grant program for wetland projects at the next meeting this coming Monday. And we bring other information like that to you at each of our meetings.
Roger, who did you used to go with? Was it Steve Randall?
Tavis.
I went, no, he never let me on the back of his motorcycle, and I didn't offer to climb on. I went with Matt Sullivan.
Matt?
I went with a murder victim.
What?
I went with
No, I mean
Norm Walpole, who
Norman,
got
God,
shot
that was forever
in the backyard of a house on North Main Street.
Yeah, that was like 1981.
Yeah, but you used to go with Matt.
Yeah, I went with Matt.
Yeah, who did you go with last year is what I asked.
Nobody.
I went
Not that
with
Norman
myself.
He went by himself.
You didn't have a buddy, okay.
But if you go back in time, and the selectmen might want to think about this, I went with Gordon Reed, who was the code officer years ago.
That was a long time
And the selectmen used to ask us to come in and report to them at one of their meetings on what the LRPC was doing, and I think that has not happened recently, and I don't think the town has really taken full advantage of what the LRPC could do for the town.
Okay.
She's shaking her head, which is a good sign.
If you guys have brownfields, we have money. It's free.
You had money?
I can present that to you at a meeting if you'd like.
We got a brownfield on 109.
I'll think about it.
Good
Mr.
to
I'd rather have you on the TRC, Steve. Thank you anyway.
I enjoy that.
Mr. Chairman, that's all I had. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Does anybody else have anything else they'd like to bring up?
Do we need to reappoint people who are on various committees?
Maybe,
I'm on the Heritage
CIP.
Committee. I don't know, there are others of us that are on other committees. Do we do that every year?
Yes.
We should do that every year, yes.
reconfirm it anyway? Like, are you the only one on anything?
Well, I'm on the Heritage Commission.
So we will.
Am I the only one? There's nobody on the Conservation Commission?
No, I don't believe so. Although I do get reports on the Conservation Commission every time they meet.
I mean, we'd only be on another group's thing if it was written into their rules,
Yeah.
you know? And I think we're kind of on an even plane with the Conservation Commission, aren't we?
No, the Conservation Commission reports to us.
They report to us? We're not even keel?
Yeah,
Okay.
but the selectmen appoint the members of the Conservation Commission.
So Vaughn, we every year renew, even though we don't necessarily change seats sometimes, but not this session tomorrow night, but 2 weeks from now, we'll go through all the committees and, we'll do the show of hands.
So I'll make a motion to reappoint Vaughn to the Heritage Commission as representative of the Planning Board.
Well, that's what I was asking about. Does the Heritage Commission request in their group, Who's to have someone from the Planning Board on their group?
Yes, and the Select Board.
They do, okay.
Yes.
That was my question.
All right, I've made a motion.
Okay, well, just a sec.
Would anybody like to second my motion?
Steve's talking.
I thought you finished. I'll second your motion.
All right, all in favor?
Hi.
Aye? Very good. There you go, Vaughn. Go ahead, Steve.
I just wanted to thank Peter Goodwin for his work on the maps and the master plan and everything he's done over the years. He's not here tonight, but I wanted to publicly thank him for his service.
For many years.
And I think while we're at it, we should thank Doug for his time as chair.
Thank you. And I'll also, although Rhonda Martin's not here, I'll welcome her to the Planning Board.
And she is, well, when I got sworn in, Pat Waterman told me that she was in Florida, would be back the 28th, and to talk to Pat and understands that she needs to be sworn in. And until they've communicated, so that's
On the 30th.
Sworn at.
30th.
All right, very good. I'll renew my motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very good. Thank
Bless you
you.
all.